Hey everybody, good morning. Bru Krebs here from Berkshire Hathaway, live in Atlanta, Georgia this morning with your weekly real estate update. And this is everything that's going on in the Atlanta real estate market right now, what we're seeing, what we expect to see, and what's happening on a day-to-day basis. We base pretty much everything that we do on statistics and data, and of course, what we do in the daily marketplace. So that being said, what I'm going to do with you today is I'm going to share my screen with you and show you basically what the old FMLS folks there are saying about what's going on in the market right now, driven by the data itself. So give me just one moment to get that up for you. Oops, let's see here. It's not liking that. So let's go here to share the screen. And hopefully you can see my screen here. I'm going to shrink it up a little bit for you so you can focus in on the most important data from what's coming through the system right now. And this is data over the last 7 days. And this is data from the first multiple listing service. So this is specific to the Atlanta real estate market. All markets are different, as I tell you every time. So if you're looking for an expert in a different market, we do work with people all throughout the country. So we have fantastic experts in every single market. You can save and make yourselves tons and tons of money by working with somebody who actually knows their particular market and what's going on. That's why it's so important that we specialize specifically here in Atlanta, because we benefit our clients so greatly that way. But let's look at this last week's market. New listings, 1,996 of them. 548 came back on the market. So that means they went under contract and they came back on the market. Look how many decreased this month or this week. We're seeing this happen more and more. Prices are decreasing. 949, so almost 1,000 properties decreased their price. Even fewer of them increased than we've seen in previous months. We still got a healthy number of them going under contract, pending 2422. And then active under contracts 994. Now it's interesting to note that in the months of June and July, we saw approximately a 1.9% decrease in pending sales. And that's been fairly statistically correct through across from most markets from what I can tell. We're still seeing a hefty number of properties close. We are seeing some more that are being withdrawn and expire now, though. We weren't seeing that hardly at all in the earlier months of the year. So there's a shift going on basically in the marketplace. And I think this next graph really gives a great detail on how that looks as well. This talks about, actually I'm gonna start with the price one. Looking at what happened to median prices over the last year, they went up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and then bang, in about 2 months ago, you started to see a little bit of a shift, and you're starting to see that median price decrease just a little bit. The market's starting to normalize. And I think we hit a point there where it was just insane. Buyers decided to sort of step out of the market. Sellers weren't getting their houses to sell quite as quickly. If you even look at your days on market, same thing happened. We got down and down and down and down here. And then it started to tick back up. So that means houses are starting to stay on the market a little bit longer. Sales, of course, they went crazy up at the first part of this year. They kind of leveled out. They had another little uptick, and now you're seeing them tick back down again. So what we're kind of seeing is the market is starting to normalize. We're even starting to see the supply, which everybody knows was at almost zero, start to pick up just a little bit. I expect that is going to continue. Interest rates are still incredibly low, and I'm going to show you those real quick. They are incredibly low. So the buying power, of course, is fantastic. But at certain prices, buyers have gotten frustrated and they've decided, okay, enough is enough. And even at the lower interest rates, they're getting priced out of the homes that they wanted. So we're starting to see what we call as a normalization in the real estate market. I expect this to continue throughout the rest of the year. You know, we talk about a regular market having about 6 months of inventory, and right now we got about 1.5 months worth of inventory, which is actually up from 1 month. So we're seeing that number increase slowly. It is going to take some time, because as new construction inventory starts to catch up, and as sellers start to reduce their prices and more start to come on the market and things start to ease up, we're going to see the market normalize again, and we'll start to see what we typically see in a standard market. It has been a super hyper sellers market. I would venture to say something like we've never ever seen before. Certainly nothing I've seen in the 25 years that I've been in the business. So it's been a very unusual time. I often liken it to the inverse relationship of the foreclosure days, when we had no buyers, but everybody wanted to sell. And now we have, a lot of buyers and nobody's really selling. That is starting to wane out. Same thing that happened in the foreclosure market. Once it equalized out and then it started going up, and then we had an incredibly robust growth period in the real estate market, unlike we've really ever seen before. I don't think we're going to see that sort of a real capture or loss rate as we go into the seller's market, because that's quite a different relationship, of course. But look at these interest rates. I mean, you're down at 3.03%. 2.3% on a 15-year fixed rate. And look at that. If you go back down even the last few weeks, you see that's actually a pretty good size drop, pretty good number of basis points of drop there. So we've seen a lot happen and change in the real estate market. In short, inventories are finally starting to increase again. Not as many homes are selling, not as many are going pending in a monthly basis now. Prices are starting to weaken just a little bit. We're not seeing those crazy multiple offer situations anymore. Occasionally it happens on one that's priced, below market, but we're not seeing that same thing. And we're also seeing those days on market start to extend. So a little bit more of a normalization in the marketplace. That's wonderful news for our buyers out there. Of course, we have to continue to watch our interest rates and see what happens. Obviously, the more an interest rate goes up, the less the particular buyer can purchase as far as dollar amount. But of course, as prices go up, that same situation happens. They start to get priced out of the marketplace. I expect this to continue to normalize over the next several months. And hopefully we'll see a more realistic market that's really conducive to everyone. I don't expect to see a tremendous drop in prices, but I do expect to see more inventory, a little bit of a weakening in prices, more buyer opportunities. There are a lot of great loans out there for buyers and first-time buyers. We've got some workarounds, though, too, for some of these FHA and VA buyers, because a lot of them are getting thrown out of the marketplace. Because basically their deals are harder to get done and sellers are greedy right now. So it's there's some workarounds that we have for those that are really helping those folks get their deals. And it is a continually learning and battling situation, because it's important that we stay at the top of our field as far as knowledge of what's going on out there, because it is ever changing. Experience has shown me many times that the market goes in these circular cycles. I've been through quite a few of them now in my career, and this is just yet another one of those. It's important that you are well informed, you're buying the right properties, you're buying things that you're not going to get stuck on. And that's why I tell you, no matter where you go, a local real estate agent who is an expert in that market is really your best asset. It saves you or makes you more than any commission or discount commission or anything that you can possibly see. If you have somebody in that particular market who is an expert, if they're working for the sellers, they know how to get the most amount of money. They know how to get the best deals, get the ones that are insured to bring the amount of money, or bring the monies in, even if they're over the list prices. If they're working for the buyers, they know how to negotiate those deals and get them in. They know which properties to buy too, because let's face it, you can look at a couple of different properties, and even though they might be the same price, one may be a lot worse than the other one, and your local real estate agent is going to really know those, because we walk those buildings and those neighborhoods and go in those places every single day. So that is our quick recap for this week's real estate market update. The market is tending to normalize. We've seen pending contracts drop. Interest rates are still super, super, super low. And the multiple offer situations have dissipated a bit. And we're seeing things turn into a little bit more of a normal market. Of course, we're going to go into the winter months. Things will slow it down a bit in November and December. I suspect we're actually going to see a little bit more of a catch up during those months, because the buyers tend to drop off and there still are some sellers out there. The time will tell. Of course, there's no crystal ball that tells us every single thing that we need to know in the real estate market. But if you do have any questions, whether they're here or in Atlanta, like I say, we work with the top experts all across the country, well, and all across the world, to be honest with you. So if you need help in another city, call on us. We'll be more than happy to connect you with people that we know are absolute experts in their marketplace, just like we are the experts here in Atlanta. I don't protest. And somebody asked me the other day, can you help me with this house or this property in Fort Lauderdale? I said, no. I said, but I know the right people that can. Does it make sense for me to go down there and help you, because I'm not as well versed in that marketplace, but I am connected with the people who are, and that's important, because it can cost you tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars if you make a mistake and buy the wrong property, or don't sell your property right, or you get some discount broker who's, doesn't really know how to manage multiple offers and really get you the most amount of money for for you, and ensure that if it doesn't appraise or whatever, that you actually get your money. If you ever have any questions, my team and I are always super happy to help. We love to answer questions, even if they're just real simple things, because I know a lot of people are just getting their feet wet in real estate, and it is the #1 wealth creation tool in the world. And it's important that you know what you're doing, because it can also be one huge mistake if you make a big mistake. So please feel free to call on us anytime. We love you very much. We appreciate everything that everybody does in our marketplace, all the people that we get to work with. We've got some fantastic team members. We've got some amazing other agents in the city that we work with. Our clients, of course, are spectacular. And we appreciate all of you guys. And we're always here for you. We want to be your real estate or your resource for all things real estate. So please keep us in mind. That being said, have a wonderful week and have a very safe and happy Labor Day weekend. Big weekend coming up. Remember, there'll be a lot of people on the roads, on the lakes, and all those kind of things. So be careful, have fun. Hopefully I'll get to see you out somewhere, and we'll see each other in the real world soon. And let's say goodbye to this old COVID stuff and get our vaccinations. I know I got mine, and I'm very thrilled that I did. So let's all do our part. Let's make this world a better place, and hopefully we'll see each other on the other side very soon. Have a great day.